Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison LaGrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. Britain, France and Germany hold talks with Iran over its nuclear program in Turkey. The meet comes after US President Donald Trump said a nuclear deal with Tehran was getting close. The Kremlin says a meeting between Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin over Ukraine peace talks is undoubtedly necessary. This after Trump said nothing would be resolved until the duo met. Paris files a case against Tehran at the top UN court over two French citizens who have been held in Iran for 3 years on spying charges, which they have vehemently denied. Chad's former Prime Minister, Sukseh Masra, was abducted by the military force from his home, says his party. Masra, a critic of the ruling government, served as the country's premier between January and May of 2024. And the World Health Organization declares a polio outbreak in Papua New Guinea, calling for an immediate vaccination campaign. The country was certified polio-free in the year 2000. However, a brief outbreak followed in 2018. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest on the now simmering tensions between India and Pakistan that reached their highest peak in decades after India launched its Operation Sindoor, targeting terror hubs and camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied bases, avenging the Pahalgam terror attack. Now, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has extended an offer of talks to India, saying that Islamabad is ready to engage for peace. Shehbaz Sharif made the offer of talks during a visit to the Kamra Air Base in Pakistan's Punjab province, where he was accompanied by the Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir. An offer to hold talks from Pakistan comes after heavy exchange of missiles, drones and artillery between India and Pakistan following Operation Sindoor. Pakistan fired artillery and drones at Indian cities along the line of control and the international border, which were all intercepted by India's air defense systems. Pakistan then attempted to attack several Indian military bases on the 8th, 9th and 10th of May. All of them were unsuccessful. In response, India launched high-precision strikes on several air bases and military installations in Pakistan, including the Chakala Airfield, Rahim Yar Khan Air Base, Sukur Air Base and the Chunian Defense Radar Site. Shehbaz Sharif's latest offer, which comes after a massive military setback, was attached with conditions, and with that he has once again provoked India. Because Pakistan's Prime Minister said that the conditions for peace include Kashmir. Now, India's stance is clear and unwavering. I'll break them down in 3 points. First, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is, and always will be, an integral and inalienable part of India. Second, the only thing that remains to be discussed on Kashmir is the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This was reiterated by India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar earlier this week. Listen in.
Sometimes the Kashmir issue has been brought up. Again, the only thing which remains to be discussed on Kashmir is the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. We are open to discussing that with Pakistan.
And third, which India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has maintained since his first day in office, talks and terror cannot go hand in hand.
भारत का मत एकदम स्पष्ट है। टेरर और टॉक एक साथ नहीं हो सकते। टेरर और ट्रेड एक साथ नहीं चल सकते और पानी और खून भी एक साथ नहीं बह सकता। निश्चित तौर पर ये युग युद्ध का नहीं है, लेकिन ये युग आतंकवाद का भी नहीं है।
Earlier today, India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited the Bhuj Air Base in Gujarat. Addressing the Indian Air Force officers, Rajnath Singh sent a big message to Pakistan. He said the Operation Sindoor was not yet over and that Pakistan has only seen a trailer.
साथियों, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने यह स्पष्ट संदेश दे दिया है कि हमने शांति के लिए जितना अपना दिल खोल कर रखा है, शांति को नष्ट करने वालों के विरुद्ध उतना ही अपना हाथ भी खोल कर रखा है। साथियों, एक और बात मैं यहां साफ कहना चाहूंगा कि ऑपरेशन सिंदूर अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ है। जो कुछ भी हुआ है वह सिर्फ एक ट्रेलर मात्र था। अब जब भी सही समय आएगा तो हम पूरी पिक्चर भी दुनिया को दिखाएंगे।
For now, reports say the truce between India and Pakistan has been extended until the 18th of May. The directors of military operations of the two countries are expected to hold talks soon. For years, Pakistan has exported terror across the border into India. And for years, New Delhi has exposed Islamabad in front of the world. India is also well versed with Pakistan's pattern of following terror attacks on the Indian soil with a sham proclamation of peace. And Shehbaz Sharif's statement is nothing but that. While Pakistan has time and again refused to mend its ways, India had made it clear it has had enough. A ceasefire between India and Pakistan might be in place, but New Delhi's anger over years of Pakistan's state-sponsored terrorism hasn't resolved, and justifiably so. Through certain moves, India is still sending that message. The Indian government sent formal notices to e-commerce giants like Amazon and Flipkart. Now, the move came over the sale of Pakistani flags, other related merchandise, and the display of Pakistani national symbols on accessories. India's Consumer Affairs Minister, Prahlad Joshi, announced this action on social media platform X. He said, and I quote, "Such insensitivity will not be tolerated," and ordered the firms to withdraw such products. India sees such content as against its national sentiment and a violation of its national laws. Along with Amazon and Flipkart, here's a list of companies that are being called out. You Buy India, Etsy, The Flag Company, The Flag Corporation, Meesho, OLX, Trade India, Facebook, IndiaMart. All were notified by the government regulator, that's the Central Consumer Protection Authority or the CCPA. For the uninitiated, its purpose is to protect consumer rights, prevent unfair trade practices, and to ensure truth in advertisements. So, what sparked the response from the Indian government? The national trade body, the CAIT, or the Confederation of All India Traders, flagged it. It wrote a letter to Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and flagged listings of Pakistani flags, logo-bearing mugs, T-shirts, which were being sold on Amazon and Flipkart, at a time when India-Pakistan ties remain tense. The sale of such items was disrespectful and problematic. That's what the CAIT argued. It said the sacrifices of the Indian armed forces are being undermined. Another item that caught attention was walkie-talkies. They were being sold on Amazon and Flipkart without proper frequency disclosure and licensing information. This was in violation of the Consumer Protection Act of 2019. These notices, initiated by the Indian government, make one thing clear for sure. Digital platforms cannot supersede public accountability, and selling foreign nation symbols, especially those linked to terror sponsors, won't be tolerated. India's Operation Sindoor against Pakistan came in response to the April terror attack in Kashmir's Pahalgam. In the tragedy, Pakistan-based terrorists killed 26 innocent civilians. Now that's what prompted India's military response, which was non-escalatory and restrained. It just focused on dismantling terror infrastructure. India's trust deficit still remains deep. For a country still bearing the scars of attacks like the 26/11 and the Pulwama bombing, the Pahalgam carnage was the last nail in the coffin. The notices to these companies were to spell out one simple thing, that India won't tolerate anything that remotely normalizes, celebrates, or platforms Pakistani state symbolism. Let's now shift our spotlight to one of the world's most valuable companies, Apple. The iPhone maker is now entangled in a fresh trade tension, this time between India and the United States. In the latest, US President Donald Trump said that he had told the Apple CEO Tim Cook that he does not want the company to expand its manufacturing operations in India. Trump claimed that he confronted Cook during a meeting in Qatar, expressing his disapproval over Apple's rapid growth in India.
I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I've treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India. You can build in India if you want to take care of India, because India is one of the highest tariff nations in the world. It's very hard to sell into India.
Trump's comments came as Apple confirmed that due to ongoing trade uncertainties with China, the company plans to produce the majority of iPhones sold in the US in India in the June quarter. Amid the ongoing trade war between the US and China, the Trump administration has imposed tariffs of up to 145% on exports from China. But there was a temporary reprieve earlier this month after a deal that saw the US and China reduce tariffs on each other, but only for 90 days. Still, amid these tariff fluctuations, many global companies, including Samsung and Google, are reportedly reconsidering their manufacturing strategies and shifting production bases to India. Now, to be sure, Apple still assembles most of its iPhones in China, but it has begun ramping up operations in India with Foxconn and the Tata Group to meet the growing demand in the US market, where it does not manufacture even a single iPhone. To put this into perspective, Apple assembled $22 billion worth of iPhones in India in the fiscal year that ended in March of 2025. This marked a nearly 60% increase year on year. The company now manufactures 20% of its iPhones in India. This shift is significant because it reduces Apple's dependence on China and highlights India's expanding role in the global tech supply chain. However, Trump's remarks indicate the complexities in US-India trade relations, particularly over tariffs and market access. In Qatar, Trump claimed that India had offered the US a quote-unquote no-tariff deal on imports, saying this was part of the discussions with Indian officials. But India's Foreign Minister, S. Jaishankar, was quick to rebut this, clarifying that trade talks were still ongoing and that no final agreement has been reached.
India and US trade talks have been going on. These are very complicated negotiations. They are very intricate. Nothing is decided till everything is. But any trade deal has to be mutually beneficial. Any trade deal has to work for both the countries. And I think that would be our expectation from the trade deal.
For now, reports suggest that Apple is firm on its investments in India. But will its expansion in India become a thorn in New Delhi's trade negotiations with Washington? We'll continue to keep you updated. And for our last story, let's turn our attention to West Asia, where regional tensions remain high. The Yemen-based Houthis have yet again targeted Israel's Ben Gurion airport, which is the country's main international airport. The Israeli military has confirmed that its air defenses intercepted a missile fired from Yemen on Thursday. Air raid sirens were activated in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, sending residents scrambling for shelter. This is the third time in as many days that Israel's air defenses intercepted a missile that the military said was fired from Yemen. Now, following the latest missile launch, the Houthis released a statement claiming responsibility for the attack. In its statement, the Houthis said that they had targeted Tel Aviv's international airport with the help of a hypersonic ballistic missile. Listen in.
The missile force of Yemeni armed forces carried out a specific military operation targeting Lord Airport, Israel named Ben Gurion Airport, in the occupied area of Jaffa, using a hypersonic ballistic missile. The missile has successfully achieved its objective, causing millions of occupying Zionists to flee to shelters and halting airport operations for nearly an hour.
Earlier this month, a Houthi missile struck an area near the main terminal of Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport. The missile gouged a hole near the airport's main terminal building and injured several people. This attack marked a rare penetration of Israel's air defenses. Israel subsequently retaliated with strikes on the airport in Yemen's rebel-held capital of Sana'a and nearby power stations. The Israeli army also issued warnings to Yemenis yesterday, urging them to stay away from Houthi-held ports. A similar warning was issued last week as well. However, no strikes have been reported since. The Houthis have been repeatedly attacking Israel and international shipping lanes in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden since the start of the Gaza war in October of 2023. Backed by Israel's arch-foe, Iran, the Houthis say that their actions are in solidarity with Palestinians. In the wake of repeated Houthi missile attacks on Israel, Germany's Lufthansa airline group has said that its suspension of flights to and from Tel Aviv would last until at least the 25th of May, amid the ongoing regional conflict. Lufthansa said in a statement the decision to extend the suspension was made due to the current situation, without giving further details. The group initially suspended its flights to Israel's main airport following the May 4th rocket attack and has extended the suspension several times. Now, the latest attack comes despite reported ceasefire agreement reached last week between the United States and the Houthis. The agreement aimed to halt weeks of intense U.S. strikes on Yemen, intended to disrupt missile attacks on international shipping. The repeated Houthi missile attacks toward Israel will undoubtedly test the fragility of this reported ceasefire and further exacerbate the already volatile security situation in the region. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.